Depp v. Heard, The Aftermath. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Last year, millions were fixated by the litigation between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. It created something of a war on social media, with people taking sides. Those believing that Johnny Depp was a victim of domestic abuse, those maintaining that Amber Heard was a victim of domestic abuse and that she was being bullied further through social media and the trial itself by Johnny Depp. Depp was successful, but the trial provided me with an opportunity to explain to all of you what the two central characters are. I undertook this through a fascinating and brilliant analysis of the individuals concerned and a huge amount of evidence in support of determining what their two personalities are. If you haven't already accessed that, I'm about to tell you what they are, so you might want to pause this video and go and watch the analyses before continuing. For those of you that have already embraced enlightenment, you'll know that I determined that Johnny Depp is narcissistic, but not a narcissist, and that Amber Heard is a narcissist. That determination of Heard thus enabled me to explain her behaviours through the prism of her narcissism thereafter, which also enabled me to explain to you the whole farrago of my dog stepped on a bee. Numerous memes were spawned from this trial, and of course there were those that supported Depp and those that supported Heard. And even afterwards, the ramifications rumbled on with regard to her retreating to the Mediterranean and largely disappearing from public view. But what about Johnny Depp? Well, a short video that has been compiled by clearly an admirer of him named @JohnnyDepps. There is a compilation of what he has done post-trial, and it provides me with another opportunity to not only demonstrate to you how a victim of a narcissist can bounce back, but also to explain to you what impact that might actually have upon the narcissist. Let's have a look at the video that has been created so that you can see the constituent aspects of what Johnny Depp has been up to after he succeeded at trial. Here it is. He's certainly been a busy chap, no curling up in the fetal position and crying about what befell him. He returned as the face of Dior, delighted that they stood by him. He went on tour with Jeff Beck. He starred in 2 films in 2023. He set up a business selling the paintings that he creates. He had a part in an MTV ceremony. He attended Rihanna's fashion show. He and Jeff Beck released an album. There's a documentary released about him. He's dating Joelle Rich. He created a TikTok page which demonstrates his endearing popularity by accumulating several million followers in less than an hour, and he's about to open a jewellery line. He certainly did not receive pariah status as a consequence of the allegations that were made against him. He's maintained a solid and supportive fan base. But what does all of this mean for Amber Heard? How does she feel about the fact that she sees what might be described as the rehabilitation of Johnny Depp, or certainly his bounce back? What does it do for her? Well, the first point to make, of course, is it only impacts upon her if she actually knows about it. If she has no knowledge of what has occurred, as listed in that video, it has no impact upon her. It's important to emphasize that, contrary to popular belief, that narcissists do not spend their time sitting around in a hollowed-out volcano going, "Wah, look at what they're doing. I now need to plan some kind of revenge over this individual," or wailing and whining about how they've been treated. The reason being is that the narcissism won't permit that to happen because it serves no purpose. If a narcissist were to sit at home bemoaning on their own what had happened to them, for instance, losing in court, that doesn't achieve anything for them. They're not controlling anybody. They're not drawing fuel from anybody. There's no character traits or residual benefits. Therefore, the narcissism will not allow it to happen. Indeed, because of the compartmentalization of the narcissist may well, of course, have a meltdown over their court defeat in order to engender sympathy and show the response of being wounded by it, but the narcissism will invariably come along and rescue that narcissist. It will cause them to complain to people so they receive sympathy, which provides them with fuel, which then powers them and shows that people remain under control. It will propel them forward to seek out new victims rather than dwelling on what has gone on before. It's commonly the case that a narcissist will continue to interact with the past victim, primarily because that past victim keeps coming along and kicking the hornet's nest. But in other instances, the narcissist focuses about other matters. In some instances, there might be a fuel or malice obsession, but they are unusual. A fuel or malice obsession causes the victim to keep basically popping up in the mind of the narcissist, akin to a stuck record, meaning that they keep coming up on the narcissist's radar, compelling the narcissist to take action against them. I emphasize, that is rare for that to happen. But with regard to Amber Heard, there's the possibility that she simply has secreted herself away in some Mediterranean hideaway and hasn't been watching what Johnny Depp has been doing, and therefore it would have no impact upon her whatsoever. Ultimately, however, I think that such an outcome would be unlikely. The fact is that she owed him money, and there were matters that needed to be addressed. Furthermore, where she would face difficulties with her own career as a consequence of the findings that were made against her, that would cause her to remember the trial and remember Johnny Depp. And in the circumstances, not because Depp has been contacting her, he will have wanted nothing to do with her whatsoever, but as a consequence of the fact that she will have had repeated reminders of him, either through memory, through having to deal with certain matters which are linked to the fallout from the trial, possibly being mentioned by friends and supporters, he will have come up on her radar on a repeated basis. This then causes her narcissism subconsciously to ask this question: is Johnny Depp under control? The answer is, we have no information because we haven't been interacting with him. Accordingly, the narcissism, in the face of no data, must conclude that he's not under control and that control must be obtained. It's clear that her narcissism evaluates that a direct assertion of control, i.e. a Hoover, is simply not to be effected, either because she has no way of getting in touch with him, or that it perceives that it will meet with failure, and therefore the narcissism as a self-defense mechanism does not go down that route. Instead, she will gain that control as a consequence of smearing him to whoever will listen, or possibly staying in a position of withdrawal. But as a part of that reminder of him, it's likely that in certain moments she will have taken a look, perhaps just as simple as punching his name into Google to find out what he's up to. You see, when you come up on the narcissist's radar, one of the easiest things for a narcissist to do is to put in your name into Google, into Facebook, etc., or click on the profile where the narcissist knows where to find you to see what you've been doing. Because this is part of the way that the narcissism seeks to assert control over you. It leads the narcissist to want to find out Thus, you've popped into the head of the narcissist. Just a random thought. The narcissism now needs to get the narcissist to assert control over you. As part of doing so, it leads the narcissist to undertake some information gathering. Thus, the easiest way to do that is to go online to find out what you've been up to as a precursor to the action that the narcissist may take, namely, perhaps a direct assertion of control, or recognizing that that's not appropriate, subconsciously directing the narcissist to smear you instead. Thus, Amber Heard is likely to have been caused and directed by her narcissism to find out what Johnny Depp has been up to, and thus she will have seen that he's continuing to work with Dior. She will have seen that he's been on tour and released an album. She may well be aware that he attended Rihanna's fashion show. She may well have seen, for instance, various videos and TikToks supporting him. She will have found out about his 2 new films. And all of that will have caused a problem for her. It will have wounded her. Because it shows that Johnny Depp is getting on with his life. Not only getting on with his life, but he has bounced back. For a period of time, it looked like he was going to be out in the cold as a consequence of her allegations. But because he won at trial, thereafter, many organisations and people have welcomed him back with open arms. The hiatus has melted away. Contrast that with the fate of Heard, who largely has done very little since the trial and has faced difficult financial circumstances. And yet, if she looks on at Johnny Depp, she can see that he's in films again, that he's fronting Dior, that he's running a business selling paintings, that he's been welcomed by Rihanna and MTV, that he's dating someone new. And all of this will infuriate Amber Heard. The narcissist is always envious of your contentment, seeing you getting on with your life, having no due regard to what the narcissist is doing, not talking about the narcissist, not acknowledging the narcissist's existence. It will infuriate. Seeing that he's able to get on with his life, that he's still got millions of supporters, that he's opening a jewellery line, all of those things, to the extent that they come to the attention of Amber Heard, it will wound her. It will infuriate her. It will ignite her fury. And wherever she might be, that would result in her erupting and lashing out, not with a direct hoover against Depp, but complaining about her circumstances by way of pity play, by lashing out at those around her, saying, "It's not fair, he abused me, and look at all of these people that continue to support him and welcome him." The fact is that when you deal with a narcissist, by imposing a no-contact regime and getting on with your life, you deal a double whammy against the narcissist. The lack of validation as to the existence of the narcissist by you ignoring them through a no-contact regime will wound each time the narcissist attempts to hoover you. Furthermore, the narcissist cannot stand to see you doing well, irrespective of their own circumstances, but especially so if their circumstances aren't as good. The narcissist is infuriated by seeing you getting on with life and doing well. And it's the same for Amber Heard. To the extent that she is aware of the things that Johnny Depp has done, they will wound her, get under her skin, and infuriate her. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for watching.